Siyata Dishmaya. We're going to start, we learned yesterday the Ketzois and Reish Dalet. I'm going to go back to the papers which we gave out. Slabodka sheets. So we want to do the Nesivos. Did we do the Nesivos?
Yes.
So the Kovet Shiur. Ready for the Kovet Shiur. Siyata Vishmai. Kovet Shiurim in Bobasres Shin Ein Dalet. Batosfot Katvu. Kovet Shiurim is a Belchonon Wasserman. My father, when he was a young boy, he saw Belchonon Wasserman in Europe. He came from Europe to America to fundraise money. And then he had to go back to Europe to take care of his yeshiva, and he got murdered by the Nazis. But he came to America a couple of times to fundraise money. My father saw him, his son, the Psiche Wasserman, was the Rosh Hashiva of my uncle.
Where?
Of your uncle, Gedalia Kasriel Goldstein. My uncle's name is Jerry Goldstein. Anyhow, this is was one of the Doilado in Europe. He was a Chavrus and a student of Chofetz Chaim. The Talmud of Reb Chaim Alevi as well. So the Kovet Shiurim says as follows. But Toisos Kosov, the Toisos wrote, Batosfot katvu de makire kuno ave kemo matono muetes. That makire kuno is like a small gift. The also lachzor boina to retract. Since there's a prohibition to retract. Umikol makom. So therefore, it's like muhzak. Umikol makom in anyhow. Me'ani chazorose. You're not allowed, there's an issue, there's a prohibition to retract. But if you do retract, the retracting helps, works. Which means there's no monetary, there's no monetary acquisition, obligation. V'lichoyro mashma. Apparently, the way you read it, Tosfot simply means Shemakire Kuuno lo zochu adayin, Makire Kuuno, the Kohanim, which are friends of those Jews, didn't merit yet Ad Shetov Yodom. They didn't merit yet the gifts of Zorah Chaim Keva, or whatever it was, Ad Shetov Yodom, until the Matnas Kuno come to their hands. This is simple. That's what we read Tosot, right? That's where the Ktsois learned. But the Nesiva says Ktsois and Reish and Ches and Reish Dalet. The Nesiva said no. Since we see in Toisos Bometzia Dav Zayin, Davov, that Makire Kuno you can attack. It's considered the Matonos of the Kohen you can attack. So he wanted to say really the Matonos is the Kohen. And when you have Makire Kuno, the Tevas Hano falls off. The Torah didn't give you the power of Tevas Hano because of the Isu. So therefore it stays the Kohen. The Kohen is allowed to attack him, but it really is. He's attacking what is his. So it really is his. But it's not a Matono, it's just a Shavua. There's no Kinyan. There's no need. You don't need for a Kinyan because it belongs to him. Once the Balabai, the Jew, lost the option to choose who to give it to, because of the prohibitions, the Torah never gave him. The Torah only gave you an option to choose when there's no prohibition. When there's a prohibition because Matono Mu'eta is because of Makire Kuno.
That's why it's in the same category of Bukor.
Right.
Because Bukor is Chodesh Barakah.
Kodesh Merechet. So therefore, since it's Kodesh Merechet, there is rights. The Kohen has rights in it. It's a Matonos of Kohen. So once you lose the option by Makire Kuno to choose who you want to give it to, because the Torah didn't give it you said that rights anymore when there's a prohibition, you may let. It belongs to the Kohen. It was the Kohen all the time. But in Toisa seems to be he's not saying so. This could be And the Nesiva is saying Pshat according to Toisvos and Mometzia. But he's not saying Pshat and Toisvos in Bava Basra. Oh, the problem is we have to be consistent. Toisvos all over the Shas should be the same. Although it's not obligation, because Toisvos in Mometzia not necessarily is the same Toisvos. Toisvos means a gathering of opinions. Tosafot, they added. Gathering of opinion could be the opinion of Toisvos and Mometzia is not the same. Bala Toisvos in Bava Basra, Kuf Gimel, but normally the same. Normally they're the same. He is Ri. It's the same school, same rabbi. Not necessarily, but could be there's two options. Could be that in the Sivas, whatever he said, he didn't say it in Tosot in Bava Basra, he just said in Tosot in Mometzia. But in the end of the Nesivas, he says, "Veledvorim eilu kiven ma'aril b'tshuva." This is what the ma'aril meant. And if you look in the ma'aril did bring our Tosot Kufchov Gimel, and he said, "Don't learn in Tosot there's a prohibition. Because of the prohibition, that's why it's muhzak." No, it's because you cannot retract. Not because there's a prohibition. No, because it belongs to the Kohen. He can't retract.
So he holds like the Nesivas.
The Nesiva says, the Ma'aril, I meant in the words of Edvorim Eilu Kiven Ma'aril B'tshuva. This is what Ma'aril meant in Tshuva Simanai. The Nesiva says. So he's saying Pshat and Toisvos. But it's very strange. Because Toisvos said that there's a prohibition to retract. And if you retract, you could. But as long as you didn't retract because of the prohibition, Mimele what?
Your Musa, but it's not in your hand yet.
Oh, how can you retract? If you want to say that really is a matonis of the Kohen. Just, it's a gift that belongs to the Kohen. Just, the Balabai, the Jew, has the right to choose who to give it to. But when there's a prohibition, because Makiri Kuna, so then the Torah didn't give him any more permission, rights to decide who to give it to. Mimele belongs to the Kohen. If that's true, so why by Makiri Kuna, Toisa says, Matonu Etes, if he wants to retract, he could. Not true. It belongs to the Kohen. How can you retract? The Torah didn't give you the permission to retract. The Torah didn't give you the rights to retract because of the prohibition. So how come Toisa says, "V'af al pi shim chozar boy mehani, mikol mokom kol ma dero chozar boy ava muhzak." What does it mean if you retract or works just as long as you didn't do it? No, you can't retract. So the words of Toisa is not understandable according to the Nesivas. Not true. If because of the prohibition, the Torah gave you the rights, the monetary rights to retract. So in Mela is the moment as matonis of the Kohen. So it belongs to the Kohen. It belongs to that's his chiluk between this and Shavua. It says Makire Kuna, the Torah took away your rights to decide who because of the issue. In Mela is matonis of the Kohen. So you can magdish it, you can mekadesh isha, you can give it to a bechor gets double share. But by a promise of Shavua, which is only a prohibition, there's no kinyan. But he seems to be saying, but here there is a kinyan, because matanas of a kohen. And once the Jew lost the right to choose because of the isu, the Torah didn't give him the right to choose because of the isu, rachmono lo yave, because lo inosu lo rachmono, the Torah didn't give him the tovas hano because of the isu. It means it belongs to the kohen. It's a kinyan to the kohen. Not even a kinyan, belongs to the kohen.
Something in the middle is Musa.
What does the middle mean?
Musa
But he's not saying so. He's saying by Shavuot is a Isu, but Eino Shaloi, lo yeh Shaloi, Achiyak no lebekinyan. But by here is Shaloi. The Matonas Kuno du Shal Koyen. And the Torah took away, the Torah didn't give you the right to choose because of the Isu. How do you explain Toysas? Yes, what do you want to say, Chaim? The Torah did not give you the right to choose. Very big step. It's a great way to explain the sugya, but it doesn't fit in Tosfot. Very strange. If I'm looking in the Ma'aril's words, I have here the Ma'aril. I hope I have the Ma'aril I had. No, it's gone.
That's
Out of my
the
house.
section, isn't it?
Oh, here's the Ma'aril here. Okay, I have the Magil. Good.
In the back of the sector, that is?
No. A special print, somebody printed for me. The Shleimer printed it for me. Talks about what is when a person is a muhzak. In what case a person is a muhzak? So he goes through different cases what is a muhzak. Because it's a question. Somebody asks him a question, he gives an answer. So he says, the Ma'aril tells this person, you send me a letter, and you brought a guy from Matnas Kuno, the Noitel Bechor Bishnai Makiru Kuno. So he says, what kind of guy is that? Since he is a friend, it's Choshu Muchzok. So Vada Yochol Tofsa Afilu Bal Kosh Anoise. He says, since he's a friend, so the Kohen can grab the Manos Kohuno even by force against the giver. If the giver doesn't want to give it to him, he can force it. Can force to take it from him. What do we see then? It's talk for Kohen. Talk for Kohen by force. The Bailing tells him he want to give it to somebody else. It's Makiri Kuno. So he wants the Makiri Kuno Alma. Da v'mamesh muchzok boy, kilu kvar shaloi. The Ma'aril brings a eye from there. That since you see the coin can attack it against the will of the giver, if the coin is a friend of the giver, and the giver this time doesn't want to give it to him. Toises and Bometzia says that the coin can attack it by force. When it's Makiri Kuno, just because it's a suffix, so you need to attack. So because of suffix, the shaila if he's attacking works or not. That's by suffix bechor. Rubi vadai, he can attack it. Nobody can stop it. It is as if he's holding it as his already. The tokfo kvar is already attacked it. So by Makiri Kuno is already attacked. It's like as if he took it already, and he can take it by force. If was Tfisa Sveika will help, that's a talk for coin by a suffix. Tfisa would work, so Makiri Kun is as if I already grabbed it. Aval bevadai matnu kuno, b'makoroi, ave kepikodon gomu. It's like a real complete deposit. I'm allowed to take it by force. Means if it's a Makiri Kuno and it's a vadai matnu kuno, it's as if the Jew is holding a deposit. You heard this? He's holding a deposit for the Kohen. Yes. It's okay, he is different in this case that he's talking about. Even in base, he cannot go it and take it out from his hands. And the Makironi Ainuach. Okay. But anyhow, what do we see the way the Ma'aril defines Makiri Kuno? The Ma'aril defines Makiri Kuno the way the Nesivus is learning. So he's learning Pshat the Ma'aril. Ma'aril is one of the Rishonim. I think it was in the end of the Achonim, beginning of the Rishonim. Yeah, I mean, the end of the Rishonim, beginning of the Achonim.
1300.
What? 1300. Who knows? Anyhow. So, Lemaise, what do we got? We have here Ma'aril and the Sivas that say Pshat in the Toises and Bometzia that by Sofik Bechor is allowed to attack. If Sofik Bechor allows you to attack, so you're allowed to attack on Makiri Kuno. And if it's Vadai Bechor or Vadai Matas Kuno and it's Makiri Kuno, it's a Vadai, a gift of Kuno. It's not a doubt. It's a Vadai Bechor, Vadai Bezwalachai Mekeva, and plus the Makiri Kuno. You're allowed to attack it by force, and even without attacking it, as if you attacked it, it's yours already. So you muchzok and it's yours legally, it's yours. So that's what the Siva says. The Torah didn't give you any more, but Makiri Kuno the option to choose who to give it to. So therefore it belongs to the Kohen, as if he attacked it already. The problem is, our Toisa says not so. So Toisa says that you're allowed to retract, legally you're allowed to retract. So how do you explain that? Something doesn't make sense. So the Kovet Shiurim has a beautiful way to sound this. It's mamish like we call it in Yiddish an Einfall. You know what's an Einfall? A blitz, like a genius understanding, a new nuance, a new understanding. What do you want to say, Reb Chaim?
Why can't you just say it's just an option for the guy
Reb Chaim, stop there. If I own your watch, you have an option to retract it and give it to me? That's it. That's the question. If I own it, can you have an option to retract and give it to me? That's it. Now you gave the answer. That's it. That's a problem.
I'm watching your thing. He's saying, I'm watching your thing.
Now I'm watching. It's mine. If it's mine, mine.
What to do with my hand before you grab it?
I don't know. Deposit. The Ma'aril said pikodoin. The Ma'aril said deposit. He called deposit. Pikodoin beyodoin. Gmuro. Pikodoin gmuro beyodoin. That's his language. It's a complete pikodoin. You know what the word pikodoin means? Your money in the bank is your money. Just a deposit. Okay. So comes the Kovet Shiurim and he says, Lichoiro v'lichoiro mashma. The way you read Tosfot that you can retract, there's only prohibition. But if you retract, it works. Apparently, it's mashma. Shemakire kuno lo zochu adayin. The friends of Kohanim, the Kohanim which are friends, didn't merit the object still. Until it comes to the hands. Not like the Nesivas. That's the way the Ktois understood Toisa simply. Simple. You know what simple means? Yeah. Aval be'emes, but really true, but really true is not possible to explain so. Yes, Reb Shmuel. Yes. 2,400. So when is the end of the Rishonim? What? Yeah. 1,400. When was the end of the Rishonim? When the Ran and the Rivash lived? When the Ibn Yosef lived? Bes Yosef is Achwan, but he was on 100 years before. So he was in the end of the Rishonim, the beginning of the Achwan. He was in the middle there. The Ma'aril. He actually was before the expelling of the acquisition of the Jews from Spain, about 100 years before. So he's really in the time of the Rishonim. Ma'aril is in the time of Nuki Yosef, the Rivosh. So it's Rishon even. Anyhow, now. Good square. So you said 1,300. No, it's 1,400. He lived in the 1,400. We call it the 15th century. Okay. Aval be'emes comes the Kovet Shiurim and he says, but truly, it's not possible to explain so. Well, you have the chart there. This is for you, Rabbi Piat, you made all this beautiful chart. Timelines of Rishonim and Achronim. Reb Shmuel, you made that? You bought this one. Sefer HaTruma. That's 1,400. No, 1,140. Radak. 160, let's see, 1,400. You have Rabbi Yaakov Levi Mehilim. Nimuke Yosef is between 1340 to 1,400. So he lived a little bit after Nimuke Yosef. He lived in the time of the Tumas Hadeshin. Rabbi Israel is line. What? The Umas Hadeshin is a Rishon.
They say the end of Rishon.
The Rishon, so the Marin is the end of Rishon. At the same time. According to this, the Rif lived 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years ago.
Yes. Rashi, Rif. What? Yes. Yes, yes. Most of the Ashkenazi minhagim custom come from the Ma'aril. Yes.
Custom come from what?
From the Ma'aril. Okay. Let's. It was the Gadol Ador. It was the Gadol Ador, and he gathered all the minhagim of Ashkenaz, and he also wrote a siddur. He gathered a siddur of Nusach Ashkenaz. He went through all the Nusachs, all the minhagim. He wrote books about it. And the Jewish people accepted it. Ashkenazi Jews accepted it. Okay. Aval be'emes yefshar lefarish. Comes the Kovetz Shulmi, he says it's not possible to explain so logically. So first he brings the raya and also logic. Though b'malvem Moses a Kohen, one who lends money to a Kohen and he deducts the loan through the gifts of Kohuna that he has. He has this Kohen that he's a friend of his that he's going to give it to him. He's allowed to deduct the loan. Gitin Lamed, Gitin 30, we learned it before. Just learned it. Mevuo, we see from that Gemara.
That's Torah Lishno.
What?
That's considered Torah Lishno, according to the rabbi that created the Daf Yomi series. It's called considered Torah Lishno.
Torah Lishno. Mevuo, right, now we learned Daf Yomi, that's exactly what we learned. Mevuo, you can understand. You can understand from this. You see from that Gemara that a friend, if the coin is a friend of the Jew, he can sell his share and deduct the loan. Sell it, deduct the loan. It's his. Or if you're going to say like the K'tzos, not like the Nesivus and the Ma'aril, like the Tzois rather. V'hinei the loizocho, that the Kohen did not merit, did not acquire, ad she'tov l'yidatul comes his hands. Eich im kol dovo she'no yeshaloi. How can he sell something which is not his? Sell, deduct a loan on something which is not his. It's not yours to sell, to buy. Question number one, right? Question number two. V'chei, same way. Besugyon mevuo. And our sugyon bo'abasre kufchav gimel amud beis is being understood, being explained. The moirish bonov. The father can inherit to his children if the father's a Kohen and he has a family friend, a Jew, he can give over the gifts, the matnas kohuna, to his children. Now he has a problem. If the K'tzois is right, if the father that gives over the Yerusha, the inheritance, he didn't merit them yet until it comes his hands, and he dies before it comes his hands. How can you give it over to your children so you don't own? But the K'tzois was not afraid of that. The K'tzois says, yes, you can give over, the father can give over money that he's a holder of, although he's not an owner. In the future will be an owner, but before he died, he got a hold of it without being an owner yet. that he can give over to his son and his son get double. He's not afraid of that. He says yes. Ubaktois achoishem kosam he wrote, degam also, benishba losas lechaver. Also, when somebody takes an oath to give over to his friend. Kevan, since the osul lachzor, boy, since you're not allowed to retract, yochol hamekabel, the receiver has the ability lohoirisha to give it over to his son. Again, the Ksois made a jump. Since we see from our sugi that what? When the father is a muhzak of something, even though he's not an owner, he can inherit that to his children to get double on it. Same thing as somebody promises the father, a Kohen. Or stop. Somebody promises another Jew and he takes an oath not to cancel the promise. Since the one who promised has a prohibition to retract, the receiver of the promise is considered a holder of that money, even though he's not an owner. And if he dies, his firstborn son will get a double share in that.
Do you mean that
the receiver of that promise can give it over to his son? Yes.
Do you mean that he actually takes an oath, or that he's higher because he was at Mount Sinai?
He has to listen to Hashem.
What?
He was a Mount Sinai and what?
That's what you mean by an oath.
No.
No.
Mount Sinai is a different thing. You're mixing boxes. The Gemara says somebody takes an oath to do a mitzvah. It doesn't work because you already took an oath in Sinai to keep all the mitzvahs. That's what you meant. But if somebody is not obligated to do any mitzvah, stop. I need to give you money. No, but I took an oath and I promise you that I'll keep my promise to give you money as a gift. There's no Sinai here. I brought the obligation of Sinai. Since I took an oath, and in Sinai, I promised God that when I promise, I need to keep. In Sinai, I made an oath to God that when there is a mitzvah, or here, when I make an oath, Hashem tells you need to keep the oath. In Sinai, I said that. So therefore, when I took an oath, I need to keep it. But really, you don't own that oath. When I take an oath to give you a gift, you don't own it, but you're a holder of that money. Because once I give an oath, I'm not allowed to retract. It's considered you're a holder of it. And when a person dies, he can give over money that he holds, even though he doesn't own. And the firstborn son will get double. This is the way the Ksois is learning. So he says, very hard. We see for the Gemara in Gittin that the Kohen can even make business with it, can sell his share. Must be, he's not just a holder, he's an owner. Number two is very hard in understanding to say that he can inherit your kids' things that you don't own, you're just holder. Very hard and small. And not only that, the Ksois even jump to say more. That even not Makirikun, not Kohanim's gifts. No, stop a Jew to another Jew. He promised, he took an oath to give him a gift. So then the Jew is considered a holder of that promise because he cannot retract for the prohibition of the oath. It makes him a holder, and you can inherit something that you hold, money you're holding even though you don't own yet. V'divrei mohen comes the Kohen Shiurim, the Baruch Hu, and he says those words of the Ktos, divrei mohen. It's a word of wonder. It's a big wonder. Big wonder to say so. The Kevan, the Shvuah no Isakinyan. Since an oath doesn't make an acquisition, Eich Yorish Dovo, how can a father inherit something that he inherited from ever? He never merited it.
That's not correct. He did Zachava, he didn't connect.
He was Zoichet to be a holder.
No, that's what holding
but he's holding it. But he didn't merit the body of itself, the thing itself.
Zoche is holding.
He's holding, but he's not owner.
Right.
So he says, how can you, he says, it's against the Svo, it's a big wonder, how can you moiri something which you don't own, you're just a holder.
Own, you should have said, "Shelo kana ve'o me'olam."
Okay, but that's what he means. He didn't coin it from ever. The K'toy says you don't need. But it says very strange. Yerusha normally you give what you own. You don't own, you don't give. You can give what you have. What you don't have, you can't give. So maybe you can give over a muchzokus. That's great, but not ownership.
Right.
You cannot give what you don't have.
Wait a second, you could still say that you can mortgage only the schut. And
Which schus?
And the kid doesn't
Which
know
schus? Which schus?
the schut of whatever the case is. If it's mishpah, if it's whatever it is.
So let's talk about that. Let's fill it out. Schus of what? You don't own it. You're just a holder of it. Good.
So I'm passing
How are we passing what?
the holding part. That's it. Not the kinyan. I never got a kinyan, so of course I can't pass the kinyan. I'm only passing the holding. That's it. That's a big deal.
Okay. The choice holds, like you said, you could pass a holding, and then Mimela, what you hold, afterwards he gets it, goes to the father, and he really owns it. He can get a double share because consider the father was holding it, even though you don't own. And he can inherit even something what the father is holding and not owning. Okay? But the Kavitch says it's a divrei tamas, words of wonder. Because the simple understanding of Yahusha means you inherit what you own. Look also I gave out the book of Rabbi the Stipler, Misol Yankim Kanievsky. So if you have the book of the Stipler, I gave out the Kilot Yaakov. Everybody owes, I hope they have the Kilot Yaakov. So the Kilot Yaakov brings down the K'tzos, and it says a big wonder. Big wonder.
Where's the definition of inheritance that you said has to be a core?
No, they don't bring in a cord. They're only svod. That's the simple thing is, you inherit what you own, not what you're holding.
That's what they can own.
I'm reading now, yes, now, definitely the K'tzos. I'm reading in page Kufchov Beis in the Kilas Yankim. Ve'ine divrei aksois hachoyshe, em chidush gadol, a big wonder. Umatmiya, and it's a big wonder, it's a big chidush. Umatmiya, and it's a very big wonder. What? I'm reading in the Kilot Yaakov, page Kufchov Beis, and the left paragraph. Ve'ine divrei aksois hachoyshe. Left column. Second paragraph. Ve'ine divrei aksois hachoyshe. Em chidush gadol. The words of the aksois hachoyshe is a big one, a big chidush. Umatmiya, and it also makes you wonder. Lo yimar to say, the gam asher lo hoyo mamoino de'av, even something which is not the money of the father, bish'as misoso in the time of his death, even since shakol ponim, that at least muchzoku, the father is not an owner but he's a holder, umotsui, and it's very common, it's being found, techev, right away, litlon, it's common right away to take it, which means it's in the hands, reach of the hands of the father to take it. The ham and the children, noitli moisa, the children take that inheritance, but in the rulings of the inheritors of the father. In exchange, the exchange of the father's place means the continuum of the father. So the law is dina bechor lito mize pishnai. The law is in that the bechor will take double share, but tzarich yiyud is a big wonder. Needs an investigation. Big chiddush and big wonder to say so. Okay, he's not saying, he doesn't bring a proof that it's wrong or right. Just misvor. It says Yerusha normally means what you own you give, what you don't own you don't give. But he brings a raya to it, and he wants to say it is true, not true, back and forth. We'll see, Bezrat Hashem, when we learn the Kilas Yankim, what his Mol Mahalach. He has a whole different world here. Bezrat Hashem. Now we're ready for the Kovet Shuri. Comes at Kovet Shuri, he says, Ubatoisas Ksubes Kuvbeis. Wow. The Kovet Shuri found a Tosfot in Ksubes, page 102. Ubatoisas Ksubes Daf Kuf Beis, Amud Beis, or Amud Aleph wrote. Toysa says. It's in the sheet too. We back into the Kovitchuli. I'm back reading in the Kovitchuli. Ubatoy says this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines on the right column from the top of the Kovitchuli. Ubatos what Ksubes Kuvbeis Kos. Toys and Ksubes wrote 102. Deyesh Dvorim, there are things she'einam tzrichim kinyan, they don't need an acquisition. The Keyon, since the Goma Umakne, since the person has a complete decision to acquire to his friends with words, ein tzorich ma'aseh, you don't need an action of acquisition. Ve'iveu raya, and they brought a proof. Toysas brought a proof to that concept. That when you have a complete gmirus das, you don't need a ma'aseh kinyan. Certain things, you don't need a ma'aseh kinyan. So he says, the Keva and the Goma Umakne, since he made a decision to acquire it, Ein Tzorich Ma'aseh Kinyan, you don't need an action, a Ma'aseh Kinyan. V'Iviu Raya, and Toysus brought a proof. No, the Jew. Since the Jew made a decision to give a complete gift, but he's not talking about a coin. The Toysa is not talking about a coin, a Jew. Toysa is talking about something else. Stop. Can a person obligate himself with words without a ma'aseh kinyan? So Toysa says some things there is. Depends on the cases. We have to measure how much gmirus das he has. But if Chachomim understood that he has a complete gmirus das, certain things don't need a ma'aseh kinyan.
Isn't it even more than that? Because with Mikiri Cohen, he's done it before. He did it with a miser. At least twice before. He has a hazaka of giving to this person. He did with a miser.
Toysa speaks about somebody wrote a shtar al metaltalim. Normally, a document only works for land. You don't buy movable things with a document. With movable things, you buy meshicha, gbo, kesef, machloikes between Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish, if money works or not. But definitely agbo and meshicha and mesira, those are the kinyonim, the acquisition, or chotzer, or yad. Those are the acquisition that you acquire movable things. But shtar, you don't write shtar al metaltalim. But Toysa says in Ksubis, when somebody went ahead and wrote a shtar metaltalim, even though you don't write and it doesn't, shtar is not koine, but since you exert yourself to write a shtar, you made a decision in your heart to acquire with a shtar. Final decision, it works, even though it's the wrong kinyan. Why? Toysa says, you know why it works? Because we found that even with words alone, certain things you acquire with words alone. It's just a matter that when Chacham understood that he had a gmirus das, sometimes with words alone you can acquire things. And more Toysa brings down from Maton Muetes. Ve'viu raya, and Toysa brought a proof to this concept. Mimaton Muetes, from a small gift, Bometziyim Memtet. Va'ainu, which means, Mideyochol ha'asoy trumas ma'aser, Amokomaker. Since we see that when the Jew promised the Ben Levi, the kur of Meiser, the Kohen can make Truma on that keri, he can give Truma on Mimokim Achav. For something else that I need to take off, Truma, Meiser, and Meiser, I can take off from what he promised me. Since the Kohen has the ability to make that on the grains that he promised, the grano that he promised. I can make it Trumas Meiser Mokamacher. I can make it Trumas Meiser means Truma to the Kohen. That the Levi needs to give also Trumas Meiser. I can give it to on another place that he has. Alma the Kohen must be that I acquired a promise. Again, Toysher brings a proof that when a person writes a shtar on metaltali, although metaltali doesn't work for metaltali, metaltali don't acquire with shtar, but this guy did it. Afal Pikein must be Gormar Meshabe Nafshe. He completed his heart to Meshabe to obligate himself. And we see even with words alone, a person can obligate himself sometimes. And we see by Matonim Muetes, a small gift somebody promises with words. Paka paka. Chiki chaka ching chang. He promised with words to give a small gift. So you can do business with it. The coin already can do business with it. Can take off Tumas Meiser on another pile on the base of that promise. Even though it never reaches his hands, because he was Gomal to Makne, because the Jew that promised him that, or he's a Makiri Kuno, or he's a friend, there's a small gift, or a small gift, or a Jen Makiri Kuno. So then he's Gomal to Makne. So here also, since you exert yourself to write a shtar, he says, you Gomal to Makne, that you made a decision to Meshabed yourself and it works. Even when you don't need a Maisa Kinyan. Comes the Kovetshum and he says, he says, if you want to investigate Toises, you can ask a very strong Toises question on Toises. Why? Because Toises made a similarity, brought a raya from one case to the other. Toises' case is, somebody wrote a shtar, even though a person wrote a document, a carta, a shtar, he wrote a documento, a shtar, a carta, on metaltal movable things. Toises wants to say, although shtar is not going to metaltal, you don't use it for that, but if somebody went ahead and he wrote it, he exerted himself to write it, he's gmirus das, he wants to make the kinyan through the shtar. Even though it's a wrong kinyan, and it's not kinyan that works, but it works from the fact he did it, it shows the fact he did an action, a wrong action. Because it doesn't work. That Maisa Kinyan, it doesn't work. But the fact he did that shows, let me finish, listen. It shows that
decision was final.
Is decision final. Like we see things which require words alone, or like we see from Matonim Muetes. Then what? If somebody promises a small gift, he's not allowed to retract, and the receiver of the small gift already can do business on it. We see that once you have a Gemirus Das, because my Matonim Muetes is a complete Gemirus Das, since there's a prohibition to retract, so therefore it's a Gemirus Das. So when you have Gemirus Das, you don't need a Maise. Already the coin receives it. Received that small gift, already received it, he can make business on it. So you see when you have a complete Gemirus Das. Why? Because when somebody promises a small gift, he knows I rely on that. So I rely, and he's not allowed to retract, has a prohibition to retract. So that shows that he has a Gemirus Das to really to give it to me, because there's a prohibition. So when you have a Gemirus Das, it works without a Maise. Same thing as when I wrote a shtar, metaltally, that Maise shtar doesn't work. The fact I did an action that doesn't work shows my Gemirus Das, and it works because of my Gemirus Das. And you don't need a Maise Kinyan. What?
How do you know it doesn't work with the start? Just because they never wrote about it, that doesn't prove it doesn't work.
No, the halacha is metaltim and anikne shtar. That's halacha.
What's the halacha? The what?
That metaltally movable things do not acquire with shtar.
But it's a halacha.
Yes. It's a halacha and Gemara and the Mishnah and Gemara. So that's like go back to the Kovetshum. It says Vutamua, the proof of Toys is a big wonder. Lichoir apparently. Why? The Mavur Shom the Yochol Achzor boy. He says, I don't understand. It's a very fat, big question here. Okay. Yes, Reb Moshe. He asked me, how do I know this rule that shtar does not work to acquire metaltali, movable things? So I told him it's a Mishnah, Gemara, it's halacha. Now, let's go back to us. Beautiful, I hear the singing Hallel. The Jewish people everywhere in Israel are singing to God, Hallel. I was thinking of my wife on Shabbos, my family. So imagine Beis Hamikdash should be built. You have 120 vessels. It says from each vessel you're allowed to have 120. Let's say you have 120 and 120 violins and 120 trumpets, and you have a couple of thousands Levites sing. Then they go to a special school to develop the voice. 5 years they go to school to sing. And they sing Hallel. Moshiv Lashem. How can I give back God all good things He did to me? And probably all over Jerusalem you hear them singing. Imagine 20, 15,000 people singing, and you have a couple of thousands of vessels, have a harmony, and they have reversals, and they do exactly. They have the biggest composer of songs of one of those. He goes with this thing, and they all sing up and down. You have thousands you hear, and you come to daven Hallel and Rosh Chodesh. It says, all flesh will come every Shabbos and every Rosh Chodesh to bow down to Hashem. So you come to Rosh Chodesh to the Beis Hamikdash. Can you imagine? 5, 6, 7 billion people come here. And special, the Jews probably have special permission to go in. They have special cards with electronics. A beep, as a Jew, he's allowed to come probably closer. And you come there and you sing to Hashem, Hallel. Wow, you can imagine the whole world, not some part of the world, the whole world, 5, 6, 7, 10 billion people, whatever's going to be left in those days. A couple of billions of people sing to Hashem. Can you imagine, Moshe? Can you imagine that? What will happen to our hearts? We have to take pills not to die. Imagine. Come to sing to Hashem.
That's how they killed the Sanhedrin army. They did the Shira they were supposed to do on the Yisrael.
Right.
That Hashem said, don't do it now.
Right? Why Chizkiyahu didn't become Mashiach? He lost his option because he didn't sing a song to Hashem. He saw the miracles. But singing song to Hashem is something from inside of us. So we have to sing. Sing from our hearts. The truth is, I came late to daven because I always come late in the morning because I have to wake up my daughters and have a whole job till I come here, till I come to the Beis Hamikdash. But anyhow, the point is that really, if it was in my hands, I would sing a little slowly. All right, really want to Hallel slowly. But I have no rights to speak to the people that are already early here. Say, listen, you come late. What do you have rights to say to do it slow? So I keep quiet, but it's against my heart. Right? Really? Really, they should daven slow, sing the Hallel from their hearts. Slowly, with vessels. See, you know what they have? They have music there. There used to be reforms music, and the Jewish people ran away from it. So that's why they didn't bring vessels into synagogues, because the Reform shul started with vessels singing. Because they moved on to Shabbos and they broke the Shabbos, rabbining, the goal was to break. But today, the vessels are coming into synagogues, because we're back in Eretz Israel, and you want to sing to Hashem. And vessel makes us to sing. The Christians use vessels, this and that, but they do the wrong ideas. But really, in concept, now we're back in Eretz Israel, we want to sing to Hashem. My heart. Who? Yes.
Every day, Oz Yoshir, and he sings with mentions everything, Mamash with Matzadai, every day. Mamash Oz Yoshir, they sing.
Right, they should. Sure.
Day.
It's a big thing. Really, a person should sing from his heart. I like to, yeah. People should, anyhow, that's my statement.
We sing Asher every day.
But tomorrow we have another day of Rosh Chodesh.
Asher, we sing Asher every day.
It's an option tomorrow. We're not going to let it go. Maybe tomorrow try to come early.
You can sing all day. It's only, it's not just
Right,
in the morning.
right.
You can convey it because you're the Rosh Yeshiva, isn't it? If you come later early, it's good to
But
convey it with the
I can
Torah.
convey. The problem is when people are angry, So the singing doesn't work. Singing has to come from the heart. And I have people looking on the watch, and it's too long, and they bring this young kid, the dafka, he's the quickest, and they dafka put him. They don't put themselves because they don't want to be too long. And there's reasons, because they're waiting for their wife isn't waiting, they have kids, they have other problems. What I have before davening, probably they have after davening. So, and now everybody has his own bag that they have to do, and this is that. And anyhow, according to their order of things. So we made it. Sometimes I have to go 3 rounds till I wake up my kids. Again and again and again and again. I cannot run away. If I run away, my wife says, I cannot wake them up. You have to wake them up. They don't listen to me. So I must stay at home. I don't know choice. Anyhow, that's a story. But really, we should sing to Hashem from our hearts. Not only that, like he said, it doesn't have to be in davening. You can take it out after davening. Take a sit and let's sing to God. And all the gifts that he gave us. Moshiv la Hashem, how can I give back to God? Kol tagmula, all the gifts that he gives me, all the payments. We don't deserve that. So you have to come and sing to Hashem. He brought you to Israel, brought you to Yeshiva. He taught you Torah be'iyun. You have rabbis that love you and care for you. Yeshiva in Mount Zion, Yerushalayim, Torah. Your body's healthy. Look, this boy wants to come back to Yeshiva. He can learn, even if he wants. This boy his body was shaking and moving. You know, Hashem. I thought Hashem sent it to us for us to value what we have. Some things, we can learn Torah just like that. It's a gift from Hashem. Every person can become Hashem. Every person in the world can become sick, can move, can learn. Hashem gave us a gift. It's a gift. It's mamash a gift. You have to cherish it and thank Hashem like a diamond. And, Tashomer, it's a matono. Hashem. Yeah. La 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 So the Kovit Shiurim has a problem. What's the raya of Tosfot? Let's go over the Tosfot. So we're going to look at Tosfot inside. It's on our page. You see, right below the Kovit Shiurim has Anoishes Aisha Perek Shnemas Aksuba Iskuf Beis. It's a quote of the Tosfot that the Kovit Shiurim quotes. So we'll read the Tosfot inside and elaborate on the question of the Kovit Shiurim on Tosfot. He says, I don't understand the raya. So let's see the raya. Let's bring the question of the Kovit Shiurim on Tosfot, and what's the Kovit Shiurim answer? So I'm reading inside. Ve'eli Tmoya Tosfot says, don't wonder. Eichi mishtamed bishtar zeh. How can this person obligate himself on this document to acquire, to sell the movable things? Orein metaltelim nikni bishtar. Movable things cannot be acquired with a document. So what he wrote a document, but how can a document obligate himself? Movable things are not being acquired with a shtar. The Yeshloim Al-Tosha says, he can answer. The oil, since the Torah, he exerted himself. Lemichtav shto, he exerted himself to write a shtar which don't work. But he did it. It doesn't work, but he did it. What does it show? What's going on in his heart? Gomar, in his heart, he finished Umeshabed nafshe, and he obligated himself. Sharei la behold. So before Sharei. So Toisa says, you know why a star works, although a star doesn't work for movable things, but the fact he did it, it shows that he wants it to completely to acquire it. So it works. Why? What do you mean? We never saw such a thing that if I made a decision to do it, it works without a kinyan, without a maisa kinyan. Here, star is not a maisa kinyan because it doesn't work. So we say, my heart, I decided. Who says if I made a gemach das, it would work? Sharei la behold. Afilu be'amiro be'alma yesh dvorim shenikni. Kedamar b'somuch, the Gemara says later on in Ksubis, there are certain things with words alone works. Ve'oil and more. The Shamina leile Rabbi Yochanan ba'azov. We heard Rabbi Yochanan b'metzia memtes holds. Anoisen matona moedas lechaveru. One who gives a small gift to his friend. Kona, he acquires it. Af al pi, even though shelo higia leyoda, even though it never reaches hands. The goma umakne, he completes in his mind and he wants to acquire it. Ochanami, here also Taisha says, mitoch shetorach, because within that he exerts himself. Litnen b'matona, to give that gift with a document, b'shtar. B'chaygan, in such a case, goma umakne, if he finish in his mind, in his heart to acquire it, and it works.
Even if he gave him his hand, if he's not my
Goma umakne, he made a he finished to acquire. So the fact I finish in my mind to acquire, it works without a maisa. So comes Kohen the Shiurim, he says, I don't understand. How does it work? Vu tamua. I'm reading in the Kohen Shiurim back. 2, 4, 6 lines, 7 lines on the bottom, in the right column in the Kohen Shiurim. Vu tamua, it's a big wonder, lichoyer, apparently. If you look in Gemara Metzia by a small gift, you're allowed to retract. What does it mean you're allowed? There's a prohibition to retract, but if you retract, it works. You have the ability, you have the ability to retract. If according to the Toises and Ksubas, that might turn more into there is an acquisition without a Maisakinya. Because Gomarumakne, why can retract? Very strong question. It says, A or B, if there's no Kinyan, and they didn't acquire like the Ktsois, how can you inherit your kids? How can you do kinyonim of it? How can you mafshir the mokamacher? How can you mafshir strum mokamacher? How does it work? And if it is a kinyan, because of the Isur or Gomarumakne, so how can I retract? So he answers, Ve'tzorich loimar, a big einfall of the Kovet Shiurim, Rebel Chonon Wasserman. That's the gift of Rosh Chodesh. The hand is beautiful, Kovet Shiurim. V'tzorich loima, you need an answer. K'moi shemotzinu kuf yud gimel, like we found in the Gemara on page 113. Kinyan ad eimas yochol lachzor boy. When a person makes an acquisition, kinyan sudo, a handkerchief, an exchange kinyan, until when you can retract. V'udavko bekinyan sudo, and it's only by a kinyan sudo that I can retract. The Gemara says, havamina, you can retract until he gives it to me. The Gemara breaks borderlines by suda until when you can retract. Matam, what's the reason? What do you mean? If I did a sudo, it's a kinyan, boom, it's a cut. It's a real kinyan, finished. Why the Gemara is shaila until I can retract? You know why the Gemara has such a thought? Matam, the reason is, the object never left the dominion of the one who gave the acquisition. What is sudo? I give you a handkerchief. When you receive it, you want to acquire me the object. But I didn't receive the object yet. The object, the sudo and the object is true by you. Even since, yes, Rabbi Pia. Domain is in the domain of the person who receives the kinyan sudo. Since he didn't take the object out of still from the hands from the domain of the one who wants to sell, that receives the Maisa Kinyan, Kimlu leRabbanon, it's understood to the rabbis, or they have Allah, the rabbis know, Shekavonosu, his intention also was, Sheyuchol Achzor, he can retract, which means you're making an action of acquisition with a stipulation that as long as you leave my domain, I can still retract. Same is my kirikuno matonu mueta, same thing. Of the gomer makna, the right is totally gemirus das to makna right away. It's a complete gemirus das with words. You wrote a star, it shows as gemirus das. Matonu mueta, since the socha died, there's an issue to retract. It shows gemirus das. But lemaisa, the object is still by me, by matonu muetas. It's still by the Jew, not by the Kohen. It's still the one who promised to give a small gift. It's still by him. See, there's Gmirus Das. But Chacham understood that I'm making a stipulation I can hold back, I can retract. The same thing as my friends or family of a Kohen. Even though he made a decision to makna right away, Mikol Moko in any place, his mind is that since he's still holding it, he didn't my sekini, but he's still holding it, is mine to acquire with a condition. If he retract, until it doesn't reach the hands of a Kohen, I gave myself an option, a condition to retract. If he didn't retract, the Kohen will acquire retroactively. But I leave myself a way out. There's an exit. I leave myself an exit. As long as I didn't leave my domain, I leave myself an option to an exit. But when I didn't exercise, I didn't use that option. Retroactively, when it reaches the Kohen, it's Kohen what I did in my Sekinim. That's what the Kohen is called the Muhzah. This is the big move of the Kohen Shiuri. The Maisa Kinyan you don't need. It's a Gemirus Das. Matonu Mueta sits because it's an issue to retract. It shows a Gemirus Das. Go Makne. And certain things, Toys and Ksuba says, can work with Gemirus Das. Like if somebody wrote a Shtar Metaltalim, works in Gemirus Das. Somebody says Dvorim Anikim Amir, certain things with words alone, like example Sivloinos, Shiduchim. With words alone, you mechayev, because there's Gemirus Das between the two sides. And in Dvorim Anikim Amir, the Gemara says, if somebody promises before he gets engaged, they promise each other gifts. Those gifts, even with words, is koine ba'amira, because there's a complete love and care. It's complete gemirus das. Or by matonu muetes, or makirikun is like matonu muetes. It's a prohibition to retract. But he's a lover. He promises a prohibition, so that binds the people together. That gemirus das. But still, that gemirus das is with condition to retract. But when he didn't retract, he gave it retractively. The gemirus das works without a ma'asekin. This is the Kohen Shiurim's favorite. La 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 la. Oh, yo. Okay, mañana, tomorrow, we have to continue on Kohen Shiurim. What? 1 second, Reb Shmuel. Reb Yosef is asking a question. What do you want to ask? Yes, go over slow motion. What do you want to ask?
How it can be Gemirus Das at night? I don't understand.
Why not? Can I? 1 second. Let me tell you. You heard the concept of T'nai?
Yes.
What does T'nai mean?
Make a condition in the Maisa.
What does that mean?
When he has not a Maisa.
What does that mean?
When you have a Maisa.
Can I do it, give him a ton of T'nai?
Yes.
Same thing as here. I did a gift, a Maisa, a Gemirus Das. What is that? Doesn't matter, even with him. But even when I have a Maisa, I can have it now. Kal v'chomer. When the Gemirus Das is only Gemirus Das, only without Maisa, I can have it the Gemirus Das at night. Yes. There's Ilchos Noim. So Kinu leRabbanon, that's my kavanos to do a Gemirus Das with a night.
No Maisa happening. No Maisa.
But night works.
Night works at a Maisa. No Maisa.
Kal v'chomer. Reb Shloime Kal v'chomer. Toys and Ksubas the Lulvov says the Chiddush of why we have to learn tonight, we go to Ruvain, learn from Svara or any other Pasuk, but they got to Ruvain to learn it from. They says no, because when I have a Maisa, it's completely, now that tonight will destroy the Maisa, then he the Chiddush of the Torah. But when I don't even destroy a Maisa, just give it was das, it's much easier. Come for Choyne.
The Rashash blows away this idea.
The Rashash is brought down right after that. You see Mitzarich Iyun? See the Rashash?
Where's the Rashash?
Right after that, printed. The also main on the Mishum Mechuser Ramono. Says, I don't understand the Raya. It's only Chiyuv. Well, I understand the Chiyuv Gomer, we will not see him in the Medayonim. He's asking the question of the Kovitchurim, but the Kovitchurim answered him. He gave an answer. No, in both places, the Chiyuv Gomer with it tonight. Okay. Other rabbis answering the Rashash's question. We'll see more about it manana.